Are you looking to learn Git and GitHub? Which, by the way, these are very important skills every developer should know aside programming. In this video, we will start with what is Git all the way to using Git commands that will help us work with Git. And in the next video, we will take a look at GitHub and how we can use Git and GitHub together. Git is a free version control system, and a version control system is a software that you can use to manage changes to your code base and collaborate with others. With Git, you are able to take snapshots of your code and commit them. You also can go back in time and return to an older version. You can also create new branches to work on. Like this, you won't affect the main code base. And if you are satisfied with your work, you can merge what you did with the main branch. Now let us install Git. To do that, we need to go to the Git official website. You can check the link in the description that will take you to that website, or just type Git download. Next, select your operating system and click on the click here to download button to install Git. Once you're done installing Git, you will notice that if you type git bash on the search bar, you'll see that the git bash terminal appears because it comes with Git. Now in this video, I'll be using VS Code and the command prompt, but you can still use git bash or PowerShell or any terminal that comes with your machine. If you want to follow along, you can go ahead and download VS Code. Just click the link in the description to download this IDE, but if you have it, then skip this part. First, let's configure a few settings. Open any terminal. I will open command prompt, and first we need to configure your name and email. The reason is your team members should know who made the changes or committed a file. You'll understand more when we go further in this video. So the first command I want you to write is the following. So we will start with git config, and now we will config your username. So we will say git config global user.name, and in those double quotations we will write your name. So let's say tag by Ralph in my case, and hit enter. Next, let's configure your email. So I'll say git config and global again, and I'll say user.email, and inside quotations I will write tag by Ralph at gmail.com. And good. Now we configured your name and email, so let us jump into how to create a local repository or a Git repository on your machine. Now I am in VS Code and I have the command prompt in front of me, and I have a file 1.txt with Git tutorial in it. And now let's try to create a Git local repository. To do that, we need to write the following command, which is git init, and it will initialize for us an empty repository called .git. And .git is a hidden directory. So if I say dir, as you can see, .git is not shown because it is a hidden directory. To show it, I'll say dir/a, and .git is now shown. Now what happens if I go inside this .git directory? Now I am inside this directory, and now I'll say dir. As you can see, we see a bunch of files and folders inside of it, but we don't have to worry about those. All we need to worry about is learning the commands that will help us use Git. Now the following command is probably the most common command you'll use in Git, and it is git status. So let's write it. So git status, and it will show us a bunch of information. It will first say that we are in the branch called master, there is no commits, and there is an untracked file, which is file1.txt. And an untracked file is basically a file that Git doesn't track or Git doesn't know about it. So if I go ahead now and modify this file, Git won't care. So how can I make Git track this file? Well, we basically need to add this file to the staging area. But what is the staging area? So the staging area or index is like a directory, if you want, that stores a snapshot of our file that Git tracks and ready to be committed. Say you have this small document and you add it to the staging area. Git will take a snapshot of the current version of this file and store it inside the staging area. And even if you modify your file in the working directory, this won't affect the snapshot taken by Git and stored inside the staging area. So now let me remove this. And how do we add this file to the staging area? So what we do is we use git add and mention the file name, which is file1.txt, and now we added file1.txt to the staging area. How do we know? Well, let's say git status, and let me prove it to you. So as you can see, changes are ready to be committed. So when you add something to the staging area, you are now ready to commit it. Now we won't do it right now, we will do it later on, but as you can see, we have a new file in the staging area called file1.txt, and earlier we had an untracked file which is file1.txt, and now it is being tracked by Git. But let us say I don't want it anymore to be tracked by Git. I want to take it off from the staging area. How do we do that? Well, it's basically very simple. We will write the following command. So git, let me write git rm or remove double hyphen then cached, and after cache we'll mention the file name which is file1.txt, and right now we removed file1.txt from the staging area. And if we go up here, as you can see there's a U letter over here. That means this file is untracked. Okay, so now let me go ahead and add it one more time to the staging area, and as you can see the U right now becomes A. That means it is tracked or it is added to the staging area. Sometimes you want to ignore certain files from being tracked by Git. Let us say I have this secret.txt file and I don't want Git to track it. What should I do exactly to tell Git to ignore this file? So basically we need to create a file with the .git ignore extension. So I'll create a file and call it .git ignore. So it doesn't have a name, but it has an extension of .git ignore. Now inside this file, what I will do is write the name of the file I want Git to ignore. So let's say it is, in my case, secret.txt. Now if I save my changes, as you can see, secret.txt is now ignored by Git. There's no more the U letter here that says this file is untracked. So because this file was added inside this file of .git ignore extension, it will be ignored by Git. Now I want to show you a very cool command. First of all, we have this file1.txt and it is an untracked file. Now let us add it to the staging area. So we know how to do that. We will say git add file1.txt, and now this file is inside the staging area. So if I say git status, as you can see, it is now in the staging area. But what happens if I just modify this file? I will say something like that, and right now we modified this file. And as you can see here, instead of A we have M. M stands for modified. So if I say git status right now, as you can see there is the snapshot we took earlier, but also Git is telling us that we have a modified file which is file1.txt, and we cannot commit those changes because it is a modified file. So when I commit right now, it will only store or commit the snapshot taken before the modification. So let us not worry about commit right now. What I want to show you right now is a command that will help us compare the file inside our working directory with the file that is taken as snapshot by Git. So let us use the following command, which is Git Diff, and this Git Diff command will compare or show us the difference between the file inside the working directory and the snapshot inside the staging area. So as you can see, the snapshot only contains Git tutorial. However, in our working directory, we have a new line and we have this plain text right here. So we have those two modifications. We have two insertion if you want. So this is how we can view the difference between your file that is inside the working directory with the file that is taken as snapshot by Git and stored inside the staging area. Now I want to show you the command that will help us restore a file that was deleted. So right now I have the file1.txt. It is an untracked file, and right now let me go ahead and add it to the staging area, and git add file1.txt will do this for us. So right now file1.txt is inside the staging area. So now it is being tracked by Git. But what happens if I go ahead and right click on this file and hit delete? And delete. Okay. Do you think Git knows that I deleted this file? Well, yes, it knows. So if I say git status, as you can see, it says file1.txt is deleted. But I accidentally deleted this file, so now I want it back. How to do this? Well, Git is actually showing us the command that will help us restore this file. So all I need to do is say git restore file1.txt, and file1.txt will be back, and there it is. So if you delete a file by accident and you remember that Git actually tracks this file, well, what you can do is use the git restore and file name command, because this will load the previous version or the snapshot that you took before deleting this file. Now let us learn how we can commit our files. So basically, when you add something to the staging area, you basically just uploaded a snapshot of your file. Next, you can send this screenshot to the commit area. Think of it as a ledger that stores all your commits. So when you send this snapshot to this ledger, you're basically doing a commit. And you can send with this commit a simple message. So now let us try to commit this file. So I have this file 1.txt in front of me, and let's say I add a new line where I will write, we are learning Git. Okay? Now let me go ahead and add those changes to the staging area. So before you commit, you need to make sure that everything is added to the staging area. And we know how to do that. So git add file 1.txt, and right now we have our file 1.txt is now staged. So after staging, you are able to commit. So how can you commit? Well, basically we'll say git commit and -m. With this, we will be able to add a message. So I will say, this is my first commit. So as you can see right now, we just did our first commit. So congratulations. So now we know how to commit, but how do we view how many commits we have? Well, let's see how we do it. I'm going to add a new line, and I'm going to say here, Git is awesome, okay? And now I'm going to go ahead and add this to the staging area. We know how to do it, so I'll say git add file 1.txt, and after adding those changes to the staging area, I decided to do that I'm going to commit. So I'm going to say git commit, and I'm going to add a message, and I'm going to say this is my second commit. Let me write commit correctly, and there it is. I'm going to press enter. But now, how do we view our commit history? To do that, we will use git log. With git log, we will view our commit history. First of all, this is the hexadecimal value that Git generated for each commit. If you want, this is the ID of the commit. And right here we have the author with the email, we have the date, and we have the message of the commit. And so this is git log. It shows you the history of your commit. And we have another version of git log. It is a bit shorter. We could say git log one line, and you will get, well, the same output but on one line, and it is much shorter, as you can see right now. So now we know how to view our commit history by saying git log to view the commit history, or by git log one line to view the commit history but in a shorter version. So now what I want to show you is how to change the message of your latest commit. As you can see here, commit messages should actually be more descriptive. So I'm going to try to change this commit message. I'm going to say git commit and m for message. I'm going to say added Git is awesome. And before I press enter, I'll say amend. And like this, I have changed my message of the latest commit. And to prove that to you, I'll say git log, and the latest commit earlier was this is my second commit, but I changed that message to added Git is awesome. So this is the new message, and this is how you can change the message of your latest commit. Now I want to show you how the Git Reset command works. So let me go up on to this file. I'm going to add another phrase. Well, let's say hello world this time. And now let me go ahead and stage this, or add this to the staging area. So I'm going to say git add file 1.txt, and now let me do a commit. So git commit, add a message. I'm going to say added hello world, and let me do this commit. So I'm going to say git log right now and use the one line. As you can see, we have a third commit. Now, how does the reset or git reset command actually works? So I'm going to write git reset, but now I need to mention the ID of a certain commit. What happens if I mention the ID of this commit? I'm going to copy this, paste it right here, and let me hit enter. Okay, now let us see what will happen if I say git log one line. As you can see, it removed the latest commit or the third commit. So what basically happens is that it removes the latest commit, or it removes all the commits that are above the commit that we mentioned. So because I gave the ID of this commit, it will remove all the commits above, and it will point to this commit. This is cool and all, but I don't want only this. What I want to do is use the reset command to actually reload the content of this commit. So how do we do that? Well, it's pretty simple actually. I'm going to say git reset. I'm going to re-mention the ID of the same command, but this time I'm going to say hard. And watch what will happen right here. And as you can see, it will load the content of the commit that I wanted. So because I wanted to go back to this commit with this ID, I mentioned this ID and I use the hard attribute, and it will reload the content of this commit. So Git Reset is actually pretty cool. A popular feature in Git is to create branches. Currently we are in the master or main branch. Let me prove it to you by saying git branch. This will show us how many branches we have. And we have just one branch, which is the master branch. This is where the actual main code base goes in. But when you are working in a project, you want to create a separate branch and then merge this branch with the master branch. Okay? So how do we create a branch? It's pretty simple. All we need to do is say git branch, and name our branch. Let's say my branch. And I've created a new branch right now. I'm going to say git branch to list all my branches. And as you can see, we created a branch. But currently we are in the master branch. How can we switch to my branch? Well, it's actually pretty simple. We will use this git switch command. After git switch, I'm going to, mention the name of my branch. In my case, it is my branch. So I'm going to press enter. As you can see right now, I am in my branch. And let me prove this to you. So git branch, as you can see, I am in this branch. And basically, when you are in a branch, you can do whatever you want. You can do anything you did with the master branch. So I could go ahead, stage a file, commit, view history. Let me prove it to you. So I'm going to modify this file by adding another hello world right here. I'm going to git add file1.txt, and I'm going to git commit, and I'm going to write a message modified file1.txt inside my branch. Okay, so this will be the message of this commit. I could go ahead, view the message, view the commit history. As you can see, I've added a new commit, but this time it is saying that the head is pointed to my branch. So this commit was made when I am inside my branch. And so let me prove something to you. If I go ahead right now and switch to the master branch, I want you to look closely right here. I'm going to press enter. As you can see, in the master branch, nothing was affected. So basically, whatever you do inside another branch won't affect the master branch, and I just proved it to you. So I'm going to re-switch to the other branch, and look, it reloads what I did in the separate branch. So this is the power of branches in Git. If you don't want to modify your main branch, you can always create a separate branch, do whatever you want in it, and when you are happy, you can merge these changes to the master branch. And in the next section, we will see how we can merge this branch with the master branch. Okay, so now we know how to create a branch, we know how to modify a file inside a branch, and that will not affect the master branch. So let's say now you are happy with the modification you did in the other branch, and you are ready to merge those modifications to the master or main branch. So how do you actually do it? First of all, let me type git branch, and I'm gonna tell you that I am in the other branch, not in the master branch. And let me go to the master branch first of all. So git switch master, and look, we don't have anything that is similar to the other branch. So what we will do right now is merge the changes done in the other branch with the master branch. So how do we do it? It's pretty simple. All we need to do is say git merge. We can add a message, and I'm going to say merging my branch with, let me write correctly, with master. Okay, and let me press enter. Okay, I had an error because I forgot to mention at the end which branch I want to merge with. So I basically want to merge the my branch with the master. Okay, so I forgot to mention this. So now if I hit enter, as you can see, okay, that works. So look at this. The main branch or the master branch also was modified because we merged my branch or the other branch with master branch. Okay, so let me prove it to you. So if I go ahead and git switch to my branch, let us view the content. So as you can see, my branch has hello world, and let me go ahead and switch back to the master branch, and look at this. Also, master branch has hello world here. So it has hello world because we merged the changes done in my branch with the master branch. Alright, good. Now we know how to create a branch and how we merge two branches together. Right now, I really don't need anymore the my branch. So how do we delete a branch? So basically, let me show you how many branches I have. So I have only 2 branches and I'm currently in my master branch, and I want to delete this branch right here because I am done with it, okay? So how do we delete it? Well, it's pretty simple. All we need to do is say git branch -d and mention the name of the branch I want to delete. So basically it is my branch, and I'm going to hit delete, and deleted branch called my branch. And to prove this to you, I'm going to say git branch. As you can see, I only have one branch, which is master branch, because the my branch was deleted. And this is it about how to use Git, the open source version control system. Now we can say you have the basics of Git and you're able to use it efficiently. In the next video, we will take a look at how to use Git and GitHub together. Meanwhile, I invite you to watch one of these end screens that will appear right now, and I hope to see you in one of these videos.